Hey, what's up guys? This video is for section 3.5, which is arithmetic sequence as linear functions, and we're going to learn what is an arithmetic sequence and how that is related to a linear function. So first, let's understand what is a sequence. Now I have two types of sequences here, if you see on the screen. One of them is called the finite sequence, and the other one is called the infinite sequence. Now finite means that something stops somewhere. So when you guys have a list of numbers, the list of numbers can stop at a specific point, and that's where it becomes finite. So if you notice, I have a list of numbers here, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and then it stops. There's no more numbers after that. That's why it's called finite. Now an arithmetic sequence is just a list of numbers that have a pattern, and that pattern helps you to get more numbers in the sequence. Now, finite, like I said, it means that it stops. So when you guys look at this here, there's a pattern going on, the 3, the 6, the 9, the 12, and the 15. So you guys notice that you are adding 3 every time. 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 3 is 12, 12 plus 3 is 15. Now, there's another type of sequence that is called infinite sequence. Infinite sequence, the word infinite comes from the word infinity, which means it keeps going and going and going and never stops. So this sequence, this list of numbers keeps going after the 15. We have the same numbers as sequence number 1 here. We have a 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, but notice that we have a dot, 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 dot at the end, which means that the numbers keep going and going and going and going. Now I'm saying it goes to infinity and it never stops. Obviously, we're not going to write down all the numbers, but this dot, dot, dot at the end tells you that it keeps going to infinity. That's an infinite sequence. Now, in those sequences, we have what are called terms. So we have a first term, second term, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth term, ninth term, and so on. So you guys can see that I have a sub 1 here with a little 1, kind of like under the a. It's called sub 1. That a sub 1 means first term. That's a notation for the first number in the list. We say term instead of the first number, first term. A sub 2 means the second term. A sub 3 means the third term. A sub 4 means the fourth term, and a sub 5 means the fifth term. And if you guys have more terms, a sub 6 is the sixth term, and then so on and so on. So here we have the same thing in an infinite sequence. We have the first term, a sub 1. A sub 2 means the second term, and then a sub 3 is the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and so on. So we have different terms. And a sequence can have 20 terms. It can be finite, and it can be only 20 terms. It can be 15 terms. It can be 7 terms. Or it can be 100 terms, or it can be 1,000 terms. But if it stops somewhere, it's a finite sequence. Infinite sequence, it just keeps going and going and going. So you have infinite number of terms. Now, the common difference. A common difference, we use the variable d, common difference, you guys see the d there, is the number that you're adding to get to the next term. And that's the actual pattern. An arithmetic sequence is when you add a number to get to the next term. That's how we know it's an arithmetic. Now, there's something that you guys also have to understand. If you guys are adding a negative number, well, that's actually subtracting a number. It's the same thing, but we don't say adding a negative, we just say subtraction. So you can add, or you can add a negative, which aka also known as subtraction, is an infinite sequence. Now, or a finite sequence, just an arithmetic sequence. To find that common difference, sometimes it's really simple. You just look at the numbers and you find the pattern that's going on. For here, you guys notice that at the beginning, you're adding 3 every time to get to the next term. Sometimes we have fractions, sometimes we have decimals. So it's a little bit challenging to find the common difference just by looking at the numbers. Some people can find those numbers, the common difference. But if you guys are having trouble, well, what you can do is you can actually take this little formula to find the common difference, d. You take the second term and subtract the first one. Now that works every time. If you take the second term, 6 minus the first one, 6 minus 3 is 3. So that's the number that we're adding every time. Sometimes when you subtract, we get a negative number. So you might have a difference of -2. So that means that you're adding a -2, or you can say you're subtracting a 2. Now, it also works if you take any term and if you subtract the previous term, that's going to give you guys the common difference. So, for example, you can also take this number here, 12, and subtract 9. 12 minus the previous one, 12 minus 9 is 3. So that's a common difference. You can take this one, 15, and subtract the previous one. 15 minus 12, that's 3. So it gives you guys the same common difference. But the easiest way to remember is just take the second term and subtract the first one. Now we're going to learn how to determine if a sequence is an arithmetic sequence or maybe it's not an arithmetic sequence. Now if it's not an arithmetic sequence, there's something else called the geometric sequence, but that's not what we're going to learn in this video. We're going to learn that in lessons ahead. But you guys need to know that there's different types of sequences. But today in this video, we are learning about arithmetic sequences, which is you're adding to get to the next term. That's the key word. You are adding to get to the next term. The pattern that you guys find is adding. So when you guys look at these sequences here, notice it's infinite because it keeps going and going. There's a dot, dot, dot at the end. So we have a 3, 8, 13, 18. You might already see that you're adding 5 every time, and that's true. You guys are adding 5 to get to the next term. That's the pattern. 3 plus 5 is 8, 8 plus 5 is 13, 13 plus 5 is 18. Now, if you guys are not sure what's the common difference, well, you guys can take the second term, a sub 2 minus the first term, which in this case is 8. This is the second term, and you subtract the first one, which is 3, and a sub 1 is there. So my common difference here is 5. And you guys actually have to check that it works every time. It's not sufficient to say, oh yeah, my common difference is 5, so I'm done. I know it's an arithmetic sequence. Sometimes it doesn't work every time. Now in this one, it works every time you guys go to the next term. 3 plus 5 is 8, 8 plus 5 is 13, 13 plus 5 is 18. So this one, it is an arithmetic sequence. I'm going to say, yes, it is arithmetic. Now the next one. On the next one, you guys have a 33, 29, 25, 21. Now, first of all, you guys notice that the numbers are decreasing. They're going down. 33 to 29, 29 to 25, 25 to 21. Now, what number are you subtracting? Well, you guys might see that you're subtracting 4 every time. So 33 minus 4 is 29, 29 minus 4 is 25, 25 minus 4 is 21. So it works every time. So my common difference is -4 because I'm subtracting, and that's where you guys have to be careful. If you say that it's 4, common difference is 4, just a positive 4, that means you're adding 4, and we're not adding, we're actually subtracting. Now once again, you can actually subtract the second term, so I'm going to do that right now. Second term is 29 minus the first one is 33, and when you guys do that arithmetic right there, 29 minus 33, that is -4. So notice we have a common difference of -4. Now it works every time. When you guys check, 33 minus 4 is 29, 29 minus 4 is 25, 25 minus 4 is 21. So since it works, we are going to say, yes, it is arithmetic sequence on this one. Okay, it works every time. Now look at the next one. The next one, you guys have a negative number, and this is where students get confused sometimes. You have a -2, and then a 1, and then a 2, and then a 3. So if you guys notice, from a -2 we went to a 1, and then it increases to a 2, and it increases to a 3. Now if you guys find the common difference, you take the second term. I have 1 minus the first term. Now I'm going to label my first term here and my second term so you guys know what numbers I'm looking for. Now my first term is negative, so I need a parentheses -2. I'm subtracting a -2. Notice we do have double negatives right here. So that means that we have 1 plus 2. Double negatives, it turns to a positive. So D equals 3. So if that's the case, my common difference is 3. I'm adding 3 every time. That's a positive 3. So I'm adding. So if you guys have a negative 2 plus 3, that is positive 1. But the next one, positive 1 plus 3 is 4. Nope, we don't have a 4, we have a 2. And if you guys check the next one, 2 plus 3 is 5. Nope, we don't have that. We have a 3, not a 5. So in this case, it didn't work every time. It works here when you guys take the negative 2 plus 3 is positive 1, but the next one doesn't work. So since it doesn't work every time, we say no, it is not an arithmetic sequence. So that's how you know if you guys have one of those types of sequences, arithmetic. You have to check the common difference. First of all, you have to find the pattern, what number you're adding every time, and then check that it works every time for every number. Notice, remember that if you guys have a negative, you're actually subtracting. So you have to be careful with that. If you guys have a positive common difference, you're adding. So make sure you guys check, and it has to work, once again, every time to say it's an arithmetic sequence. All right, so here it says find the next 3 terms of each arithmetic sequence. So what that means is you just keep going to find the next term, okay, or the next 3 terms. And I'm going to underline that so we know that we're looking for the next 3 terms. So we have the first sequence, 21, 19, 17, 15. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means I'm looking for the 5th term, the 6th term, and the 7th term. So 3 more numbers. It keeps going. This is infinite. So first we need to find the common difference. The common difference will be 2nd term minus the 1st term. Now you guys notice that the numbers are decreasing, 21, 19, 17, 15. So you are subtracting, and you probably already know you're subtracting 2. But just to show you guys, my common difference, if you take 19 minus 21, that's negative 2. So negative means you're subtracting. Okay, so if you guys are subtracting, let me just show you guys here. From 21 to 19, you subtract 2. From 19 to 17, you subtract 2. Let me just zoom in here because I need more space to write. From 17 to 15, we subtract 2. So the next one, from 15 to the next number, we have to subtract 2. And 15 minus 2 is 13. All right, we got the next one. And they're asking for 3, so we have to find the next one after 13. So we subtract 2 again. That's going to be 11. And from 11, we subtract 2 again. And that's going to be 9. And I'm going to put that, because we have it infinite. It keeps going and going and going. So my next 3 terms, I'm just going to put those down here. I know they are 13, 11, and 9. And again, I'm going to put the ... so we know that it keeps going and going and going. Now remember that we found, let me just count here again, 1st term, 2nd term, 3rd, 4th. So this is the 5th term. We found the 5th term, a sub 5, the 6th term, a sub 6, and the 7th term, a sub 7. Now the answer is actually these 3 numbers here, 13, 11, and 9. Now on this one here, again, we have to find the next 3 terms. So let's count how many terms we have now. 1 term, 2, 3, 4 terms. So again, we're looking for the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th term. So here, notice that we start with the negative number, negative 3, and then we go to positive 1, positive 5, positive 9. Now remember that you guys can find the common difference by taking the 2nd term and subtract the 1st term. Or you guys can take any term and subtract the previous term. Now I'm going to do that right now because I kind of like to avoid negatives. So I am going to take the 5, which is the 3rd term. So the 5 here, and I'm going to subtract the previous one. So 5 minus 1. 5 minus 1, oh, that's easy. It's 4. So what that means is, since it is positive 4, we are adding 4 every time. So my common difference, the pattern, you're adding 4. So let's check. Negative 3 plus 4. I'm just going to make my little marks here. Negative 3 plus 4, that's 1. Yes, it is. 1 plus 4 is 5. And 5 plus 4 is 9. So the next one, you have to add 4 here. So 9 plus 4, that's 13. 13 plus 4, that's going to be 17. And 17 plus 4, that's going to be 21. And then put dot, 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 because it keeps going to infinity. So my three numbers, the ones that we're looking for, are 13, 17, and 21. And I'll put the dot, 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 because we keep going to infinity. Now remember that this is the 5th term, 6th term, 7th term, and it keeps going and going to infinity terms. All right, now this one's is when you guys have a decimal and fractions and asking to find the next 3 terms of arithmetic sequences. Now, on this one, it's a lot easier if you guys use a calculator, scientific calculator, and the one I use in my classroom is a scientific Casio calculator. So let me just show you guys the one I use in my classroom. And this is the one. So you guys notice that we do have just a regular scientific one. I am not able to actually use the calculator here in this video. I'm just going to show you guys what numbers to press if you guys have this model. Now the model is FX300ES Plus, and it is the brand Casio. Obviously we do have the decimals here, so you guys will use the decimals for the numbers. In the sequence, I'm going to show you guys right now, we have decimals. The negative button is right here, so in parentheses with the negative, we're going to press that button. Every time we have negatives, and you guys have the minus, the plus, multiplication, division. So let's try it. I'm going to just move the calculator to the right side here before we do the fractions. But we do have the negative 0.75, negative 0.5, negative 0.25, and then we have 0, and then we have dot, 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 dot. Now, again, we are looking for the next 3 terms. So I'm just going to underline here the next 3 terms of the arithmetic sequence. Now, what you can do, if you guys are not really sure what is the pattern, what is the common difference, you guys can take the second term. So I'm going to find D. My second term, it is negative. You guys have to be careful with the signs. Negative 0.5 minus my first term. Now, my first term is also negative, so I need parentheses. Negative 0.75. Now, using the calculator, you guys will get positive 0.25. 0.25. Now, again, in that calculator, you guys will need to use your decimal button. So let me just move the calculator a little bit up, and you guys have the decimal button here. We have the negative button here. The minus, students get confused with the minus and the negative. If you guys put a negative, you press the negative button for the minus and then the negative again for the negative. Sometimes the calculator won't give you guys the answer. It's going to give you guys an error. So just double check if you guys have a negative or a minus here. So we have the negative and we have the 0.5. I press the minus and then I have parentheses here. You guys have open parentheses, close, and then I put negative 0.75. and you guys get the answer positive 0.25. So what that means is we are adding, since it's positive, we are adding 0.25. So the next one, you guys need to add. So here, after the 0, I need to add 0.25. So that's going to be 0 plus 0.25. It is 0.25. And then you guys need to add again, plus 0.25. Now I am running out of space here, so I'm just going to write down the numbers down here. So my first number is 0.25, and 0.25 plus 0.25 is going to be 0.5, or you guys can say 0.50. And then the next one, 0.50 plus, so again I am adding 0.25 here, and I'm going to add 0.25 again, which is 0.75, and I put the dot, 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 so we know that it keeps going and going. So the next 3 numbers in that sequence are 0.25, 0.5 or 0.50, and 0.75. Right, now the next one, we do have fractions. Now in fractions, it's a little bit hard to see what's going on here, so you guys can use a calculator and just find out what is the common difference, a pattern. Now some of you guys already know what's happening here, but with the calculator, you guys can also find out the pattern. Now let me show you guys with fractions. The Casio calculator has a button for fractions, which is on the top of the negative. So here's the fraction button. You guys have a fraction with the empty box and a white box on the top. So when you guys want to press or make a fraction, you press on this button, and then you just have to fill in the top and the bottom. So we have a 5 over 8, 1/2, 3 over 8, and 1 over 4. Now we do know it's an arithmetic sequence because they say we want to find the next 3 terms. They're not asking if it is. So we already know it is an arithmetic sequence. We just need to know what number we need to add to get the next number. So first, let's find out the common difference. So my common difference, D, is going to be the second term. So my second term is going to be 1/2 minus my first term, and my first term is 5 over 8. So I put 5 over 8. And again, you guys are going to have your fraction here. So you press the button, and then you put 1 on the top, and then you go, this is your kind of like cursor, your mouse. You move your cursor with these buttons in the middle. So you have to press the bottom. So you guys go down to the fraction, and you put a 2. So 1 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Then you have the minus button, and then the fraction again. You press it, and then 5 on the top. You press down, and then you guys have the 8. I know it's kind of hard to see or to teach you guys without actually using the calculator, but I can show you guys the buttons to press. So when you guys do the common difference here, the answer is -1 over 8. So what that means is we are subtracting 1/8. Now it's kind of hard, I know, when you guys have fractions, what pattern it is. But with the calculator, it helps you guys find the common difference. So what that means is we are subtracting. So we need to subtract. The last term in that sequence is 1/4. So we are going to subtract minus 1/8. And then you guys get the next one, and then you subtract 1/8 again, and you get the next term. Now using the calculator, again, I'm just going to show you. You guys have the fraction here. You guys have 1 over 4, so you press 1, the down button, the 4. You might have to press the right button here because the cursor, if you just press down, it's going to be on the bottom of the fraction, so you have to press right here, so the cursor moves to the right, and then you guys can press the minus here. And then you guys have another fraction, 1/8, so you subtract fraction, 1 on the top, 8 on the bottom, and then you press the equal sign. So let me just subtract using the calculator. So when I subtract 1 over 4 minus 1 over 8, I got positive 1 over 8. So that's the next term. The next term, you guys actually have to subtract. So I'm going to put 1 over 8 minus 1 over 8. Remember, that's the common difference here, -1/8. So 1 over 8 minus 1 over 8, that equals 0. And the next one, you're going to subtract 0 minus 1 over 8. You guys can use the calculator if you want to. 0 minus 1 over 8 is -1 over 8. And you guys have ... It keeps going and going and going. So my next 3 terms are right here as fractions. So remember that when you guys have decimals, fractions, it's a lot easier to use the calculator. So if you guys can get one, Casio works really well. And then you guys just find out the common difference, and then you use the common difference to find the next term. Alright guys, so this is the end of my first video for this section, which is 3.5. I'm going to do a second video, so make sure you guys check that out. And if you guys like my videos, make sure you guys hit the like button. You can also subscribe to my channel. Make sure you guys practice, and I'll see you guys later.